Hey guys, welcome to Fantasy Tip. This is Max and my first video of 2023. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, and an even better New Year. For this year, I hope you guys get a bunch of W's on fantasy and make some money with it if you are in cash leagues. Recently, I saw a lot of requests about deeper league analysis, so today I decided that I won't be naming one player that is owned over 20%. I want to talk about my favorite Swiss Army knives player. They are usually great for category leagues, but can also be useful in deeper points league. Now let's start off the list with Scott Laughton, who is one of my favorite players in the NHL today and one of my favorite fantasy players. This guy has won me multiple championships as a streamer in recent years. This year he's compiled 9 goals, 11 assists. He's got 20 points in 35 games. But what really stands out for Scott Laughton, plays on the second power play unit, but he also plays a great penalty kill role. He's got 5 on the season, both shorthanded and power play. In the last 9 games, he's compiled 5 goals, 5 assists. So his stock is on the rise. Now, I don't know if he keeps up his offensive prowess at this rate, but his floor is still so good that you could give him a shot in many leagues. He's 17% rostered, and if he keeps this up for another week, I see him cross the 25% platter. Right after, we have Noel Acciari, 9 goals, 7 assists, 16 points, 165 face-offs won, over 3 hits a game, and 42 blocked shots. On top of that, he's a +2 on a very underwhelming St. Louis Blues team. Plays shorthanded. He's got 3 assists in the last 2 games, 35 hits in the last 7. This guy's a real Swiss Army knife. Next on the list, we have Barclay Goodrow. Multiple position eligibility, center, left wing, right wing. He's got 8 goals, 10 assists, 18 points on the season, 127 face-off, 46 hits, 28 blocks. He's not too recommendable at the moment because the past 5 games have been pretty awful. He's compiled 0 points, 5 hits, 6 blocks, and a little 10 face-off to put with that. I would keep a close eye on him though, because he gets bumped up and down the lineup quite often, sometimes playing with Zibanejad in the middle of December. So he's always a good guy to keep an eye on due to the fact that he can play center, left wing, right wing, and you can stick him when the lineup gets crowded. Right after, we have Morgan Frost, 8 goals, 11 assists, 19 points on the season, a little over 1 hit a game with 44 and 176 face-off, tap in 66 shots. These are not phenomenal numbers, but you have to look at his last 11 games or so. He's got 13 points in the last 11, 5 goals, 8 assists. He plays first line minutes, first power play. John Tortorella loves him. He has center, left wing as positions, and he's got 18 hits in the last 9 games and 22 shots in the last 8 games. The next list are my favorite centers under 15% rostered on fantasy. First, we have Jordan Staal, 11 goals, 8 assists, 19 points in 39 games. That's a point every 2 games, approximately, and 2 hits a game with 80. He ranks 8th in the entire NHL for faceoffs won at 373, plays on the first penalty kill, and if you scoop him, you can hope that he may take KK's spot on the second power play unit eventually. Regardless, even if he doesn't play power play, he is a really fun guy to have, especially in category leagues. Right under him, we have Adam Lowry, 7 goals, 14 assists, 21 points. He's got 64 shots and 84 hits. You never have to worry about his differential. He's a +5 on the season, and he also has 2 shorthanded points in 38 games. Right under, we have Yanni Gourde. He gets a little less peripherals than the other guys, but he also has the talent to do more points, and he's also way more explosive. Add shorthanded time to that and exposure to good wingers all across the board in Seattle. To me, he's an undervalued fantasy asset, and he can only get better with time. Currently, he's playing with Oliver Bjorkstrand and number-ranked fantasy player after day one, Eli Tolvanen. That's long gone now, but this is still a high potential line that can explode at any time. We also have Nick Dowd, only 3% rostered, 10 goals, 7 assists, 17 points, plus 8, 279 faceoffs, over 2 hits a game with 83. He has a shorthanded point on the season. Nick Dowd is a deep league gem. He has an awesome floor, and he's one of the only relevant fourth liner in fantasy. Right under, we have a little bit of a lesser version of Nick Dowd this year. We have Sean Corrali. He has 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points, 57 shots, 285 faceoffs, and 93 hits. Add 2 shorthanded points to that number in 35 games. The only asterisk I would mention is that he is a minus 15. So if you're in a points league or cats league that counts the differential, you should be wary of that. Another one of my favorite streamers on fantasy is Casey Cizikas. This guy doesn't do a lot of points. He's got 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points on the season. He's a +3, plays on possibly the best fourth line in hockey. He's compiled 258 faceoffs and 85 hits. Add 30 blocks to that total and a shorthanded point. In the last 3 games, he's got a goal and 3 assists. To me, Cizikas is not a massive point producer, but in a Cats League matchup where I need face-off or hits, Casey Cizikas is a no-brainer for me. Most likely, you'll find him on that waiver wire. Up next, we have a little bit of the same, but for defensemen. First off, I have Esa Lindell, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. A massive +20 on the season. Now, Lindell does a little bit of everything. I think his peripherals even have room for improvement, and he could get more in the second half of the season. He's got 57 shots, 55 hits, and 71 blocks in 40 games. Like I said, a little bit of everything. He's already up to 4 goals this season, which is already tied with last year's production. Martin Ferraro. It's weird to me that this guy is only 14% rostered. This guy has sublime peripherals. He stays in the positive, and with John Carlson's injury, he may see an uptick in time on ice, even if he's on the third pairing right now. Martin Ferrari's got 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points. He's +4. He's only played 29 games due to injury, but during those 29 games, he's compiled 92 hits and 46 blocks. That's over 3 hits a game. And he's got over a shot a game with 40. To me, it's a no-brainer for 12-man leagues and over. This guy should not be on the waiver wire. Scoop him if you can. We also have Colton Parayko. Just like the Blues, he's not having the best season so far. He's got 2 goals, 10 assists, 12 points. He's a -14 in 36 games. But he's still got 73 shots, 64 hits, 64 blocks, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. He's got a power play point and a shorthanded point. He's a big-bodied defenseman on a very underwhelming Blues team, like we said. Last year, he finished with 6 goals, 29 assists, 35 points. And prior to that, he had consecutive 10-goal seasons from 2018 to 2020. There is a chance the Blues bounce back in the second half. It wouldn't be the first time we see them go from mediocre to phenomenal. Or he might get traded to a contender, which is not a bad gamble for a scoring defenseman. You also have Matthias Ekholm, 4 goals, 10 assists, 14 points in 37 games, 66 shots, 50 hits, and 48 blocks. He's got 3 goals, 3 assists in the past 9 games. At 2% rostered, we have Mickey Anderson, who's a very solid defenseman, fantasy or not. He's got 10 points this year in 42 games, a +11 with 85 hits and 68 blocks. I'm never too worried when I stream him because he rarely ends up in the negative, and there's always a good floor with his peripheral, and it also helps out when your partner is Drew Doughty. Here are some more defensemen under 15% rostered. This one is more for category leagues. At first, we have Yanni Akanpa, 108 hits, 65 blocks. He's 15% rostered. Ferraro makes the list once again here. This guy needs to be added in 10 and 12 man leagues. We also have Eric Chernak. Not many offensive result. He only has 7 points in 33 games, but he's compiled 105 hits and 57 blocks during that time. He is a super reliable defensive defenseman. At 7% rostered, we have Rasmus Ristolainen. Sure, he only has 2 points on the season. The Philadelphia Flyers are tanking. He's got 75 hits, 77 blocks in 32 games. I love Ristolainen as my 7th defenseman on deep category leagues. And I need those solid hits and blocks. And Ristolainen sometimes can hit you with a 5-6 hit, 4 block game when it's much needed. And finally, at 2% rostered, we have Mario Ferraro, who's not doing too well this year. He's got a goal, 4 assists, 5 points, 41 hits, 57 blocks in 29 games. The reason I say he's not doing too well is because last year he had 141 hits and 157 blocks in 63 games. I do not own him yet, but I'm keeping a close eye on him. I've compiled a few more under 15% rostered forwards for you guys. First off, Ivan Barbashev, 6 goals, 12 assists, 18 points in 39 games. He's almost at a point every 2 games. With his 82 hits, that's over 2 per game. So once again, a very serviceable center that can also be placed at the left wing position. We also have Eric Haula, that's 14% rostered. Only 2 goals, but 16 assists, 18 points. Playing with the great Jack Hughes right now on the second line. Eric Haula's got 42 hits, 290 faceoffs, and 33 blocks. A very good NHL depth player that is also a very good fantasy depth player. Right under him, we have his other line mate, Thomas Tatar. Now, Tatar doesn't have crazy peripherals, but he's not afraid to shoot the puck, and he's playing with the most improved player in the NHL, in my opinion, since last year, Jack Hughes. Tatar is only 13% rostered. When he's hot, he's very hot. When he's cold, he's very cold. But when you play with Jack Hughes and you play on the first power play unit with Dougie Hamilton, Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, and Jack Hughes, you're in a pretty good spot. We also have Marcus Foligno, who is the player I am rostering the most in the 2022-2023 season. Whether it's a points league or a cats league, I love having Marcus Foligno on my side, and I love not having to play him. He's got 3 goals, 9 assists, 12 points this season, 99 hits in only 29 games, 13 blocks. He has 2 power play points, occasionally plays on the penalty kill, and if you're in a points league that compiles penalty minute, this guy is a gem. After that, we have Garnet Hathaway, who's like a little version of Marcus Foligno. Still 5 goals, 6 assists, 11 points in 41 games. He's got 139 hits and 45 blocks, 41 penalty minute if your league counts penalty minutes. Just overall a great peripheral guy to have on your team. And finally, there's a player that creeped up on my list, and that's Joe Veleno. Veleno only has 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points in 35 games. But he also has 32 shots, 71 hits, and 18 blocks. Nothing to jump to the roof, but Veleno made his case to be on the list because he's compiled 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in the last 8 games. Put in his double position eligibility, he sneaks in at 1%. To conclude this video, I'm going to share two guys who, during my researches for this video, I came face to face with that are under 20% rostered. And I can't grasp my head around why Jared McCann is only 20% owned. The guy has 18 goals, 8 assists, 26 points in 34 games. He has a +5 differential, 67 shots. Now, the rest of his peripherals aren't crazy. He has 29 hits, 8 blocks, and 18 faceoff. But he also has 7 power play points. He was on pace to score 45 goals this year if it wasn't for his little injuries. Now, one person out of 5 owned Jared McCann in fantasy, and I think that number could almost double if he keeps it up for a month or two. So if you're lacking goal scoring in your Cats league, or it's not going well at the center position in your points league, Jared McCann is an excellent add. The second guy is Sam Steele, 7% rostered, 7 goals, 10 assists, 17 points, +10 in 37 games. It's not that much, you may say, but he plays on the first line with Matt Zuccarelo and Kirill Kaprizov. He plays on the second power play unit and on the second penalty kill. He's a very responsible hockey player, and in the past 11 games, he's compiled 2 goals and 8 assists. And I don't think his production will go down drastically. So Sam Steele at 7% rostered is an absolute steal right now. I'm going to let you guys go on a nice hockey fun fact that I heard during the holidays and that I was pretty excited to share with you guys because I had never heard this before. Did you guys know that during Gordie Howe's second season in the NHL, little Bobby Orr was born? And by the time Bobby Orr was introduced in the Hockey Hall of Fame, Gordie Howe was still playing pro hockey. How cool is that? On that note, I'm going to wish you guys a happy new year one more time, and I will see you guys next week for the waiver wire videos. Good luck to everybody this week.